On January 12, 2021, Star Raccoon tweeted, "A coup was attempted to overthrow the government and install a dictator as the leader of this country." Diesel Raccoon replied, "I like you deeply as a friend, and I'm going to choose not to even respond to that. Inflates you, making you big and round." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show where we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. As the show goes on, I want to feature tweets from communities that I'm not necessarily a part of in order to show the whole breadth of Twitter. And that means featuring tweets from the furry community. Specifically this tweet, which springs up from the divide between left-wing furries and right-wing furries. A divide I did not know existed. A bit of context I left out at the beginning, just because I didn't want to start off this episode by reading this tweet, is Diesel starts off the conversation himself by saying, "You leftist furs amaze me. Like seriously calling anyone that disagrees you a Nazi or racist, ... whatever. If you've been on the internet long enough, you've seen this spiel." And Star Raccoon, I think, correctly replies by saying that a coup attempt just happened in this country. Because if you'll notice, this was in January of 2021. And in response to Star Raccoon giving the reasonable take that, hey, a coup almost just happened, Diesel Raccoon doesn't want to hear anything of it. He chooses to ignore it because he likes Star Raccoon deeply as a friend. But then he can't help himself. Rather than just say, let bygones be bygones, he has to inflate Star Raccoon, making him big and round. So if you're not sure what this is referring to, I do have to give the quick warning that it is referring to a fetish called body inflation, which I obviously did do research into because I do my due diligence generally. But I decided not to include any of the screenshots that are on the pages about it because I don't need to show that. If it's something you're into, honestly, fine. It seems relatively harmless on the grand scale of things, but I don't think that I need to feature it on here for people who are not into such a thing. But to give the long and short of it, people have a sexual attraction to different parts of people's bodies being inflated, whether literally inflated, whether through magic, whether through overeating. There's quite a bit of content if that's something that you're looking into. And I did not make this episode just to mock people for having that particular interest. It's not what floats my boat, but whatever floats your boat. No, the thing that's mockable here, and I know that it's fair to be mockable because other furries mock him for this, is how out of left field this is. Who talks like this? He's trying to make a serious point about politics, and then someone comes in with a rebuttal and says hey man, this is a serious situation. And he's like, well, I'm not going to respond to that, but I am going to imagine you being inflated big and round. And the thing is, Diesel is actually a fairly big person in the furry community, it looks like. He is a very prominent right-wing furry, which, once again, is insane is a thing, but whatever. But he's big enough where basically anytime he says anything that gets any traction outside of his immediate bubble, people will respond to him with, inflates you, making you big and round. The next month, he made a point of tagging multiple furry festivals, telling them to uninvite someone who was happy about Rush Limbaugh passing away. And so many people responded to him with, inflates you, make you big and round, that Spotted Casper made a montage of it. Let's watch. Now, personally, if I had ever said something on Twitter that was so insane, so out of pocket, that I could not make any posts without getting bombarded with that being repeated to me, I would log off Twitter. That's a lie. I would make another account. I'll never log off. But even now, even this year, people still respond to him with it. And it's a great dunk, because it appears he's always saying nonsense. Like here, when he tweeted out a cartoon, which I'm not going to show, which is talking about how gay bars shouldn't let trans people in. I wish I could eat your son quoted that and said, inflates you, making you big and round. Once again, if you're the inflates you, making you big and round guy, I don't think you should ever have a say about who's allowed in and out of a space. Because I think a lot of people are going to make the decision that you shouldn't be allowed in a space. And what I definitely gathered doing research for this is that this became a meme among furries and furry adjacent people very quickly. A Twitter account that's now deleted posted a screenshot showing that they were playing Quiplash with a friend, and they both responded with inflates you, makes you big and round to the same prompt. And it is used as a caption for characters or things that are inflated big and round. I have some examples, but they're examples where it's clearly a joke. I do not want to share examples of people actually using it as fetish content. Wisconsin area Garfield fan club quoted the screenshot from Garfield and Friends screens where Garfield is relaxing, looking like he just ate a lot of lasagna with inflates you, make you big and round. Garden of Eden posted this photo of Pink Yoshi looking chubby with inflates you, make you big and round. Before doing this, I frantically googled what Pink Yoshi's name was because I didn't want to sound like I didn't know what I was talking about. I'm not super deep on that Mario lore, and I learned his name is Pink Yoshi. And definitely my favorite example is from this September where Lily took a photo of her backpack being full with inflates you, make you big and round. And it's one of those all-purpose memes that people can just put into jokes that people in their community can get. Like Drazi tweeted, got kicked from my debate team. Apparently, inflates you, make you big and round isn't a good argument. And other lame responses have been compared to this. Like when Tibber said, I'm so sorry for your loss, offers consensual hug. Also said, inflates you, making you big and round for a modern generation. But I think the more accurate comparison is this guy Kobe who had a tweet complaining about people celebrating political violence and he was being very self-righteous, etc., etc. But the next tweet down in his account was old doodle of me showing what happens to tasty folks when they show up late for work. And it's him as a wolf eating people. I think it's vor, but I didn't do a lot of research into that because I don't need to know. I think ultimately why this took off, even among people who would not judge someone for having this particular interest otherwise, is because of how out of left field it is and how kind of weird it is that you can't keep your fetish on the sidelines for 2 seconds. And I find it notable, particularly given this guy's politics, because it feels like so much of right-wing politics on the internet is people just barely keeping their fetishes at bay, oftentimes letting them escape. Like, not every right-wing weirdo is driven by some weird sexual perversion, but like a lot of them are. And I think we all can agree, no matter where you fall on the kink-shaming scale, that like you should be able to talk about politics in a serious manner without letting your kink interrupt it, because you can't keep to yourself and you can't not imagine inflating someone big and round. Also, is Diesel really actually friends with Star? Because when I was talking about this at the start, I kind of took that for granted. But if he's not, if he's like being patronizing when he says that they're friends, this is really weird. Because in the abstract, imagining someone being inflated is not bad. But if the person knows that you're doing it out of a fetish, like that just feels like a violation. Like if I knew that that was someone's fetish, I wouldn't judge them necessarily. But if they told me that they were currently imagining me being inflated big and round, I would take that as like too much. I don't know what the rules are in these communities, but I feel like there has to be some sort of like, hey man, I don't want to be the object of your, fantasies. And if I've made any assumptions about these communities that are inaccurate, I apologize and I would like to be corrected. I understand that it is a fine line joking about these sort of things and also not seeming super judgmental. But like I said, I think the reason why I was comfortable doing this episode is because it feels like this guy is also a persona non grata amongst furries. Which is last one, which I'll end with because it's my favorite, where Shady Tavern's posted a gif of Agent Smith from The Matrix with, "Tell me, furry, what good is your political opinion if you are obese? Inflates you, making you big and round." I'm sorry, no matter what the tweet is, if you give me the opportunity to do an impression of Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith, I'm going to take it. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and please enjoy joining my Patreon, patreon.com/museum of Twitter, where you get to vote on what I cover on Subscriber Sundays, and you get a weekly bonus episode called the Museum of Not Twitter.